Getting pregnant in your 40s is hard. Going through this struggle, this not knowing, this waiting, this limbo period, it's hard. Welcome back to another walking vlog. It is an early morning today. I am going to my acupuncture appointment for the week, and I am getting it in early this week because I have some travel at the end of the week. In my last vlog, in my last walking vlog anyway, I told you that I was considering not continuing these vlogs, or that the vlogs that I would be doing going forward would look different. And the reason why I said that was because I'm really kind of in a place of waiting right now when it comes to getting pregnant. I'm in a place of limbo, of waiting, of not a whole lot really new happening when it comes to my fertility. I've gotten to a really good place with my health. And there's not a whole lot left that I can really add to support my body's fertility. So I thought about discontinuing the vlogs because what is there left to talk about, right? But I decided to continue them for a couple different reasons. The first reason is rather selfish. I want to be able to look back on the time on the exact cycle, what I was doing, what I was thinking, what I was feeling when I did get pregnant. I would hate to miss that, actually. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is because, you know what? This is the reality of trying to get pregnant in your 40s. It is hard. Someone told me, during the course of this journey that getting pregnant when you're younger can be accidental. It can surprise you. It can happen when you're not ready. But getting pregnant when you're older, and for some of us that means in our 30s, for some of us that means in our 40s, getting pregnant later requires a lot more intentionality. And that really struck me as being true. It takes much more intentional effort to get pregnant when you're older, particularly when you're in your 40s. And so there is a certain truth that I am demonstrating, recording, and living right now in this time in my life that I don't want to gloss over and to pretend like it never happened. I appreciate everyone who's watching. Let me start by saying that. But I feel like my videos will likely get more views on YouTube after I actually do get pregnant. I've thought this for a long time. And I feel like I totally understand that, because if I was going to YouTube to watch a video to give myself hope, I would not be watching videos about trying to get pregnant and not succeeding. I would be watching the videos, and there are a lot of them out there, about older women who successfully did get pregnant, whether that was naturally or through IVF. Those would be the things that I would want to see. In a lot of those videos, people will tell the story of the time that came before they got pregnant when they were older in a very lump sum sort of way. Like the months, the years, all the procedures that they did, it's all kind of lumped together in this one big story of, the time, the struggle. The fact that they got pregnant and the fact that they are telling this story suddenly makes that time have a meaning that it didn't have for them before. Or let me not say it like that. Suddenly that time has a meaning that is now different, actually, from what it was before. Because once you have achieved the thing that you've struggled for, the struggle that you went through has a different meaning afterwards. It's changed. I get that. I think that's natural. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that it doesn't tell the whole story of the struggle. Because when you're in it, when you're here, when you're in the place that I am at, and you're looking at your 40s and thinking, if maybe you come out of this on the other side without the thing that you desire, or that you're working for, that you're struggling for, or even just that period of not knowing if the struggle is going to be worth it in the way that you wanted it to be. Getting pregnant in your 40s is hard. Going through this struggle, this not knowing, this waiting, this limbo period, it's hard. We don't want to talk about that because we want to give each other hope and we want to stay positive. But to a certain extent, knowing that it is this hard and that there are these periods and that you're you're guaranteed these periods, basically. And that most women, not all, but most women will struggle to get pregnant in their 40s. And that's whether you're using medically assisted pregnancy or if you're trying naturally. I have done it all. And none of it has been successful. It has all been hard. It's been hard the entire time. And that is actually the more common reality of what this journey is like. That is the expected outcome. That is the thing that we should be prepared for. And so I guess that's kind of the truth that I feel like is maybe most helpful if you're approaching trying to get pregnant in your 40s. That you can count on the fact that it's going to be a struggle. Yeah, it's going to be a struggle. I don't know how you're going to struggle. I can show you how I've struggled. But it's not easy. And I'm not complaining, by the way, here. This is nothing, I'm not trying to put a negative spin on this or anything. I just think you have to know where you are in order to know the best way forward. I'm a very positive person. I have a very optimistic outlook on life. I say things to myself like when I am pregnant. I do all of those things. But if you're not also acknowledging the fact that there is another side to this coin, and that is that you might have to suffer quite a bit. You might have to be patient. Then you can be setting yourself up for not giving your suffering the meaning that it deserves in the moment. I'll talk more about that in my next segment. Beautiful morning today, and I had a few more things that I wanted to say that I didn't get to yesterday about pregnancy being hard in your 40s. And I hope you don't mind me just kind of talking through this subject as I'm walking just kind of bouncing ideas off you this morning. I wanted to share something that I thought might kind of demonstrate the reality of what I'm trying to share when I say that pregnancy in your 40s is hard. You guys like to watch YouTube. I like to watch YouTube too. There's a couple that I follow, Kara and Nate. You might have heard of them. Love their videos. So Nate in particular has been doing a lot of these extreme challenges, ultra marathon type things. Very inspiring, Nate, by the way, if you ever watch this, good job. I watched his most recent one. It's an ultra marathon, over 100 miles in like the Swiss Alps, like some really high mountains. And he's in his 30s, and he's been training for this for quite some time. The interesting thing is, when the people that he meets while he's doing these ultra marathons, he teamed up for a portion of the course with this guy named Andy. Andy is probably 20 years older than Nate. And Andy wasn't just doing this ultra marathon that he was helping Nate along with. This was like his 6th ultra marathon in like 2 months or something. And I think that anyone would look at Andy and what Andy has done as being somewhat more impressive than what Nate's doing. And the reason why is because of his age. He's older. And you don't really have to know anything about Andy's background, where he came from, what he's done all his life. Age by itself is a factor that makes doing the same things that you did when you were younger more impressive. And I think we all intuitively understand that when we see older people doing these kinds of amazing physical challenges, whether it's an ultra marathon or, a Tour de France, a cycling event. Guess what? Fertility is exactly the same. It can be done in your 40s. There are people that do it. It might be easy for a few, but it's going to be hard for most. It is a physical challenge that gets more impressive the older you get. I have heard it said that when you are pregnant, your body is using the same amount of energy and doing the same amount of processes as you would be doing if you were running a marathon every single day. We've got a little future marathon runner over here too. So yeah, pregnancy is like running a marathon every day. So in your 40s, you gotta be prepared for that. You gotta train for it. You gotta be more intentional about it. And as I was saying yesterday, I think it's important to understand that reality so you go into it with the right mindset. I'm not saying any of this as a scare tactic or a sales tactic. I do think that IVF clinics don't give women enough credit when it comes to their ability to get pregnant in their 40s. It is possible, but yeah, it's gonna take a lot of work. But again, IVF is not the easy way out. If your body is not prepared to carry a pregnancy in your 40s, IVF is not going to work for you either. What I'm trying to point out is there is a sweet spot between optimism and pessimism that is actually where reality lives. I want to acknowledge that I know it can be difficult for women in their 20s and 30s as well. I know that there are other challenges like endometriosis, diminished ovarian reserve, that can show up during those decades also. But what you don't have in your 20s and 30s is this looming body phenomena called menopause that is very much knocking on your door. You still have time. In your 20s, you have a lot of time to figure out, to build yourself back up, to go to a bunch of doctors. You got a lot of time for that. You should have quite a bit of time still in your 30s even. But in your 40s, that time is coming to an end. You really don't have the luxury of time. You don't know how much time you have left. The death of your fertility is haunting you. So props to all of us women in our 40s still trying to get pregnant and still holding on to hope, because that is a intense pressure. I felt it quite a bit when I first started this process. If I had known it was going to take me 5 years, I would have freaked the fuck out. I hear a lot of women say that, who are in their 30s, let's say, that women are getting pregnant later and later and it's becoming more and more common. That may be true, but I wouldn't say that comment so glibly, because it is hard. Yes, it can be done. I believe that. I'm still holding on to that hope, although it hasn't happened yet for me. Some women would give up by this point. I'm still holding on. We'll see how long that lasts. Yes, you can get pregnant. Yes, probably more women are getting pregnant into their 40s in this day and age. However, what that fails to acknowledge is how hard it is, and how much you will have to suffer, and how much you might have to change. It's really hard. So if you're in your 30s and you're saying something like that, you better be preparing your body now for that journey in your 40s, because you're not going to be able to go to a doctor and just get a pill, a prescription, or a surgery, and suddenly your fertility is like it was in your 20s. It is different now. It is harder now. Take it from someone who is here now and has lived through this and has done all the things. I've done all the things. But even something just as simple as like the last cycle I went through, the egg didn't fertilize. That's common. That's common in your 20s and your 30s. But when you're in your 40s, it means so much more, because that's one cycle closer you are to the end of your fertility. So that's my advice on that. I'll see you in the next video.